Alhamdulillah for everything.
Alhamdulillah.
Been our loss, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything God gave me.
Hello guys, hope you're doing well. My name is Amin. I'm with the NH2 podcast. Today I'm joined by a special guest, Remy-Lee. How you doing, brother?
All good, guys. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you,
Good,
bro.
man.
So, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
So my name is Remy-Lee Bennison. I'm a non-league footballer that's had quite a crazy journey, starting from grassroots football, then to academy football, and then going back into grassroots and then non-league. And yeah, so.
And where did you grow up, as a kid?
So I grew up in Windsor. So my childhood was in Windsor. I went to school in Windsor and then went to school in Maidenhead when I got older. And then, so obviously where I lived, it was quite far away from all the clubs I was going to in London. So the distance, travelling a lot, it was hard. But trying to balance school and football was difficult. But yeah.
Yeah, and mainly now your profession is a footballer, obviously. And what were your first memories of growing up and playing football?
My first memories? I think playing when I was playing for Windsor FC under sevens, my first experience playing football is under my dad. He was the coach and he was very hardcore. So he was in the military and he used to coach us when we were kids, and it was hard. He used to make us run around the pitches all the time. But I remember the first season we were undefeated the whole season, and that was my first proper good memory when I was a kid. And then obviously my dad realising that I was a good player, and then started getting noticed by clubs, and then going on trials when I was a kid, trying to progress. It was hard because you just want to play football for fun. You don't really want to go to that next step. It was fun. There was no challenge to it. You're just playing tournaments. But I think my parents realised at a young age that I had the talent and I was capable of making it. So it was the next step from going from grassroots to academy football.
Yeah. And talk about talent as well, how your parents recognise it. Do you think you knew as well that, hang on, I have something going for me here, when you were a kid? Yeah,
I mean, obviously I noticed it as a kid. I used to get the ball and just run, and I didn't pass. I used to get called a ball hog. But obviously I noticed it in school. I noticed it, playing football on a Sunday in tournaments, winning every game, winning loads of medals, getting player of the tournament consistently. And obviously people get talking, the parents are oh, this kid's good, and so obviously I knew it, and I always wanted to be a footballer. Since I was a kid, my dad knew I wanted to be as well. So we'd train a lot, in the parks, in the cages.
Cage
and,
football,
cage football. To be fair, cage football, people just think it's in London. Cage football was big when I was a kid. I used to just go to the cages near the parks, and there used to be kids there, and we used to all just play together. It was big growing up.
Yeah, and even with me as well, because obviously I come from Algeria. Whenever I used to go there in the summer, it's just similar to cage ball. You just get two rocks, throw a rock there, goalpost there.
Yeah, or the jumpers as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Bro, we used to do with my friends, even in school, we used to get two jumpers, both sides, and then we used to do jumpers versus no jumpers.
Yeah.
Oh mate, and it used to be 30 people just chasing the
Everyone
ball.
Chasing.
I remember there was a thing in school. I don't know if you had it. We used to call foul football.
Yeah,
you ever heard of foul football?
Love that, yeah.
Bro, especially for being a player that wants to be a footballer, and even being at an academy as well. I was at QPR when I was 9 till 13. Going to the training after school and having grazes on my leg from foul football, and the coaches are what have you been doing? It's oh, nothing, just football.
Footy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you're trying to do whatever you can to make it work as a kid.
We'll talk about this later on as well, with making things work and everything. And you mentioned QPR. Was that the first club to take notice?
Yeah. So, before I went to QPR, I was at Spurs. I was at the development. Coming from Windsor, so I was travelling to Enfield, going to their training ground, and obviously it was nothing too serious, and I was a Spurs fan, so it was big for me.
Passion,
It was a big. I really enjoyed being there, and I went on trial there when I was 9, and I think it was a little bit too overwhelming for me, because obviously you go into these really nice pictures, all these boys in these tracksuits, and you're I'm rocking up in shin pads and my boots on, thinking what's going on, and I enjoyed it. I done well, but I think I thought like, oh, I need to take a step back, just carry on enjoying my football. But then all of a sudden I went on trial at QPR and they offered me a contract, so that was that, and then I was there from under 9s onwards.
And how's it like as a young kid? Because you said earlier that you played football just because you loved it, right? And then you got QPR and all the big training grounds coaches. How's that like?
I think going there, obviously, because we were young, it was still that kind of feeling of Grassroots, because everyone was from Grassroots. Like, all the boys that were there, they come from Grassroots as well. So it still felt like I was enjoying my football, especially at them ages. Yeah. But like, obviously, you'd see the first team players come in, so there was a sense of like, oh, there's a big change. Like, you're playing for a professional team, you're ball boying for the players in the games and stuff. Even going on tours as well. We did quite a few tours.
Really?
Yeah, so we played like Juventus. Yeah, that was tough, and like that was my first like proper big team I played against. I think we got slapped like probably like 8-0, I think. But yeah, it was tough. But even at them ages, it was still the enjoyment. But then, obviously, as I got older, it started to get more serious. Like under 10s, like coaches like getting angry if the team's not doing well, and like as a kid, you're like, this is hard. Like, this is serious. Like, they were taking it serious at that age. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it was difficult.
True. And tours as a young kid, how's that like? Was it abroad? Was it here?
Yeah, so it was abroad. The first one I done was Belgium. That was amazing. Like, obviously, like I said, I played Juventus, played PSG, and that was like my first like opening up to how football really is. Like in Europe, like I never experienced something like that before. Like as a 9-year-old kid, that was it was incredible.
Yeah, and you got old obviously, and then you joined Cre8tive FA. Yeah, how's that? So
obviously my journey at QPR come to an end when I was at the end of under 12s. They just basically said like, I think at that time I was quite small, so I wasn't as developed as much. So they were like, we're not going to offer you an under 13s, but go play Grassroots, like develop, and then whatever happens after that. So obviously I joined Cre8tive at under 13. So the guy was called Aaron, like he was my coach, and funny enough, he's my agent now. So yeah, we got a really good connection. So obviously played Grassroots for them. Yeah, like I said, just enjoyed football, playing Grassroots football, and just enjoyed it. And yeah, like that's what I thought football was, for the enjoyment. I didn't like the pressure as much, because I feel like pressure at that young age can make you crumble. But like obviously, like if you think about it as a pen, right? If too much pressure on a pen, it will snap. But if it's just the right amount of pressure, then it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like playing at QPR, especially when I was young, and having that pressure, I mentally wasn't ready for it, so I needed that step back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and do you think Cre8tive, did they treat things differently compared to QPR? How's it?
It was a lot more relaxed. Do you know what I mean? Like it had that enjoyable environment again, and I can enjoy my football and express myself, and not worried about like making mistakes. Whereas like I did previously, I was like didn't want to do these things or try these like skills or whatever, because I was too worried about making the mistakes, and then the coaches,
getting onto you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing as a young kid as well. Like outside of football as well, just like you're young, try as many things as you can.
Exactly.
Try that skill. Run down the wing, do this, do
exactly.
that.
Like football. Yeah, I know a lot of people they take it's a serious game, and it's a competition. Like everyone's in competition, but I feel like if you see it as like doing it for fun, the good stuff will come. Whereas if you're putting too much pressure on yourself, that's when you start worrying and you start thinking second thoughts like, is this for me? Whereas if you just enjoy it and you play with no fear, then you're going to do well either way.
Yeah.
So that's what Cre8tive pretty much done for me.
Yeah, and it works well. Taught you, like you said earlier, we were talking about earlier, like technical skills, taught you this, taught you that and everything. And then you moved into Grassroots, like you said. So you went from Cre8tive to Langley. So how's that at Grassroots?
So that was my first step up into men's football. So obviously I was at Cre8tive from 13 to about 15, and then Langley was like my first taste of men's football. So I think it might have been step 6. I was like 15, 16. And what I noticed is that I was obviously better technically, but it was the physicality side of the game that I had to adapt to, and it was hard because, you're getting these 20, 30-year-old men running at you, and I'm on the wing, and, you just get this big this big lump just running at you.
Yeah.
And you, because they're so big and strong, you've got to be able to adapt your game. You can't just like run at them and just constantly. You've got to try and make things happen as well.
Yeah, and everyone that I've been talking to from, like you said, grassroots and things like that, they always say the same thing. They come, they're young, they're not small, but inexperienced to the physicality. They come in and then you got, big Keith running at you,
Yeah,
flying studs and everything. But
yeah,
you learn how to deal with all the physicality. Got some battle scars as well coming off of it.
Exactly.
But it helped you. And then after Langley, obviously, you guys, how's the season with Langley?
So
pretty well.
So my season at Langley, it was good. So obviously during Langley, I was at Cre8tive as well. So I was playing with Langley on the weekends and Cre8tive like in the week. Like I said, it was my first kind of taste of men's football.
Mm-hmm.
I think the team were very good. I think they were pushing for playoffs to go to step 5. I think, obviously, like I said, from under 16s, I was going into the first year of Scholar. So when I was at Langley, I was trialling for clubs in between Langley, and then I ended up going on trial at Crystal Palace.
Yep. When
I was towards the end of under 16s in scholarship. So I went to Palace and I done well, and then that's when, I got snapped up by Brentford.
Yeah.
From that.
And how was it like at Brentford? Starting out, you had a trial game, didn't you? And
yeah.
How does stuff work out there?
So funny enough, so before I went to Brentford, I was originally gonna start a job because obviously the trials I'd done previously, they weren't successful, and I needed to think about what path I was going to do outside of football.
Yeah.
Because I was still going to pursue it, but obviously you need a backup plan.
Just in case, yeah.
You need a backup plan because, you don't even know what's going to happen. You might be playing well and then the next minute you get injured. So, obviously I was doing interviews at leisure centres to do, gym instructing, stuff like that at 16. And then my agent got a call to say that Brentford are hosting a trial game. And obviously I was going to take it because there was nothing really on the line then. That was I need to do this because this is, it's not like game changing for my life, but
give it a shot.
Give it a shot because there's nothing else on the table. So obviously we've gone there now, and all these boys from different backgrounds, different clubs, some I knew, some I didn't. And obviously originally I was really nervous. I was like, anything can come of this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So obviously I've gone there, warmed up, and in the warm up I was a bit shaky. I was I'm nervous because in my head I was thinking this is my final shot because I don't know what's going to come after this.
That's true, yeah.
So obviously started the game, just played out of my socks. I was unbelievable. I scored, got an assist, and just played with so much freedom. And that's what I want kids to feel like when they play. It's just if you play with freedom, your ability is going to come out. Do you know what I mean? Exactly, if you don't worry about making these mistakes and just playing for the fun of it, the good stuff's going to come out. And that's what happened. And then obviously so I played and then gone home. I went out and then my mum called me and was like, "Oh, we've got news for you." And I didn't know what this was about. She was like, "Oh, hurry up, you need to come home, it's serious." And I've gone home thinking my nan's here, my dad's here, my granddad's here.
Whole family, yeah.
Whole family just sat there. I was like, you guys all right? What's going on? And they were like, "You've been offered a pro contract." And I was like,
Great,
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Just didn't know what to, just kind of speechless.
Were you expecting that, or were you just I just came in, played, and...
Nah, so I was expecting to, maybe get a trial out of it, or, another game. I didn't expect a contract after one game. That's never really happened, ever,
Yeah.
That's very rare.
Yeah.
So, I didn't really know if it was true, or I was like, "Are you sure? Do you have any evidence?"
Email or receipt?
Email, yeah. And he's like, "No, I've just got a phone call off Aaron, you can speak to him." And I called him and was like, "Yeah, great news." And then that was that.
You've done something right then.
Yeah, I did.
Straight up get offered that.
Yeah.
And then obviously Brentford at the time was Championship, wasn't it? They were fighting for Premier League. I think they went to the playoffs once. They lost, I remember, against Fulham. I was watching that. And then, so how's it like at Brentford? Were you put in the youth team or the B team or the...
So they just got basically promoted to the Premier League from that season. So there was no academy. It was just the B team and the first team.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the first kind of rebuild of the academy.
Yeah.
So I was the first
batch
under 18. Yeah. So me and another player, we were the first two. So there was no academy. We were just put straight into the B team.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said to you before the podcast, I was like going from playing just grassroots non-league football to a professional environment where you're training with first team players and people on the brink of first team, and you being a 16-year-old boy being put into this session where you've never experienced this before. You're playing on these outstanding pitches, this training ground. I've gone there on my first day after doing all the medical and stuff, and I'm just straight in. Don't know any of the boys. They're all 20 and I'm 16. Wow. Got put straight into a rondo.
Gosh.
You could imagine that.
Yeah, passes all over the
passing. I was just trying to not lose balance, basically.
Yeah.
And it was hard to adapt. It was hard.
What kind of things did you do to adapt? Was it you just played, or
extra training? So obviously, doing extra training at the club, using the coaches to help me develop, because that was the main part, developing my game to that kind of level where I've just been playing grassroots, but it's trying to change the way I play. Instead of being so direct being players 1v1, I had to kind of use other methods to play my game, because they were so much bigger and older. So just doing extra training, that's really it.
Yeah. And how was it like with the physicality side? Because you said obviously they're a lot bigger, more experienced and stuff. Did you at some point not suck it up, but did you adapt to the bumps and bruises and stuff, or how did it work?
Yeah, so obviously adding extra gym sessions into your daily routine, I think that's very important as a footballer, especially at that time, because I was so young and I wasn't very big at all. I was very small. Having to do that extras where all these other boys, they do their training and then they go, but because I had to adapt to it and I had to improve myself, I had to add in them extra gym sessions, because technically I was there. It was just the physicality side, and that's what I mainly worked on, was my physicality, and then it showed. I proved myself and kind of got a place within the team. Yeah,
and you said obviously with the technicality and the physicality, you can have all the technique in the world, but if you're getting pushed over this, that, then you can't really apply it, can you? So
yeah, I think obviously my game was very much, or it still is, very much based on being direct, attacking minded, but because I was so small, I wasn't as quick either. I was fit, but I wasn't as quick. I think it was frustrating for myself, because I was trying these things, but because they were so big and strong, it wasn't necessarily always working. So I was like, well, I've got the footballing ability. It's being able to adapt physically. That's what I had to do.
And speaking about adapting and things, obviously with Brentford, you win the Premier League, Youth Cup and things like that. How's it like playing all these top academies, Spurs, Chelsea, this, that?
Well, it was obviously at the start it was tough, because coming into the environment, but obviously I backed myself with my talent, so I knew once I get a feel of the way this football's played, I'm gonna fit right in. So obviously playing against these teams, it was a good challenge, because I was young as well, playing against men as well that were professionals. It was challenging, but it also taught me and it grew me as a player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you played obviously all these top teams as well, and you learn a thing or two from each, the way they play and looking at your teammates and stuff. And was there anything that your teammates, older teammates, taught you about kind of the way of playing?
Yeah, I think my older teammates, they kind of, firstly they taught you to be humble. So, be confident, but also be humble, because, anything can happen in football. And I think being humble was played a big part in my game, because, adapting from being not a footballer to all of a sudden being a professional, it can take a toll on players. They can get greedy, the lifestyle changes them. So I think what they taught me off the pitch was being humble, but also on the pitch, do the basics well, and obviously express yourself further up the pitch. Don't overdo it. Keep it simple in the right areas, and then do your magic in the right areas.
Yeah, and one quote I always used to stick by myself was kind of humble but hungry. Kind of like, obviously don't be arrogant, right? Don't be flashy and everything, but also be hungry, try new things, do this, do that. And you started out as a left back, didn't you? And then you moved over to right wing. Yeah. How was it like doing that transition across the pitch?
Well, I think, like, naturally I always was a winger. I think because of my height or the way I was perceived as a player, I was kind of pushed back a little bit. But like naturally I was always very attacking minded. As a fullback, I'd be bombing forward constantly because I was fit, I was fast, I was good on the ball. But yeah, like I think Brentford noticed that he's much better going forward, and then that's when my game changed as well. Like I moved from the left side to the right side, and then I was scoring and I was assisting, and it was just better for me. So yeah.
And you got, I think it was 32 goals and assists in one season as a winger.
It was 18. I got 18 goals, 14. Got 14 assists. So yeah, just like almost over 30 goal contributions within that season.
As a winger as well.
As a winger, yeah.
What were you doing? Were you more of a kind of rob and cutting in, or were you like crossing and everything? Or
well, I think obviously a bit of both. So cutting in, going on the outside. I kind of tried to base my game on Saka. Left foot, right winger, trying to go on the outside, on the inside. Just expressing myself, and also the goals were also from the left side as well. So wing back, we played wing back a lot that season. So balling forward, getting balls in the box, shooting with your left foot across goal. So them kind of goals, really.
Yeah, and when you're in the wing, what kind of, like, talk me what goes through your head, when you have the ball, what do you think?
So, I think it's just all kind of instinct, really. Like, I receive the ball and you look forward, you see a man closing you down. It's just like, it's kind of second nature. Like, being in one-on-one, that's what I love to do. That's why I play football, because I live for them moments.
Yeah.
It excites me when I get the ball, someone's closing you down, you're going to beat him on the outside or on the inside.
And get past, yeah.
Exactly. Get a ball in the box or shoot. And that's what my game is, and that's what I enjoy. In my mind, just get past him.
Yeah.
That's literally just get past him and get the ball in the box.
Takes you back to cage ball as well.
Exactly. You just like I said, becomes second nature. If like, I've drilled it into me my whole life, beating players, practicing skills in the cage, in the park, in games. So there's no pressure when I do it. It's just happens.
Yeah, and with instinct as well. Let's talk about, obviously, you said you were training with the B team and with some first team players as well. What were training sessions at Brentford like?
Very, very tough on the body. I think my first few sessions, it was like very physically demanding, like trying to adapt to the way they play and the speed of the game. Like physically it drained me. Like I remember my first week being at Brentford, and like my body just couldn't cope. We had a game against Forest Green on the weekend after the training, like in the week, and I remember like after that game, I think I just lied down on my bed and I just probably slept for about 40 hours. I'm not even joking. God. Do you know what I mean? It was just like adapting to the professional kind of style of play. It was hard. It was very hard, but you adapt to it. You get used to it.
Yeah, and with all these players and stuff, they have a heavy workload. So you got to do some things to recover, obviously. So what was on your kind of menu for recovering as a player?
I think obviously at the football club you get given kind of like recovery plans, and they tell you what to do off the pitch, what like gym stuff to do to help you recover. I think away from it, just pretty much resting, man. Chilling, seeing friends, doing the extra stretches. I used to go to the leisure centre to do some swimming, but like whatever really I could get my hands on to do to rest my body and recover.
And the ISO thing.
The ISO thing we did today.
That's
yeah,
good.
Nah, I had one at home, to be fair, but I broke it. So,
but it did help, didn't it?
Yeah, it did
Relieve
help.
Everything.
Did help.
And you said obviously with Brentford, we're still talking about the games with everything. And was there any games that you felt kind of showed you the difference between Grassroots before to I'm at Brentford now?
Yeah, so I think my first B team game. So we played, I believe it was Slough Town. I think, yeah, it was Slough Town. My first like proper start from, you know, it was the step from playing grassroots to professionally. It was difficult, but it was a good difficult because, you know, I've already adapted to it, and this was me now. This is the way I played, and this is what I do now. So, yeah. So the game itself was good because we won. I think me obviously playing that first kind of start for the team, it was exciting because obviously I've come on the pitch, and you know there was fans there. I think there was like maybe 2,000 people, so it was the first like proper crowd I played in front of. So obviously come on, done well, and yeah, that was my first proper sniff, and yeah.
Do you like that game? You felt creative. You played well.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I was good on the ball. You know, it was like a proper sniff of what it's like to be a professional footballer.
Yeah, that's good. And also when you feel like you have that freedom, because like you said, you came at Brentford, you were like shaky, you know, like you didn't know this guy, didn't know that guy, and then now you're performing, you're confident, you're everything. And how big is confidence for you as a player? Were you always very confident, or was it something you just learned?
Confidence is my game. You know, if I'm confident, I'm going to perform. I think confidence is key in everyone's game because without confidence, you're not going to perform. Yeah, like I said, confidence is I judge my game on confidence. So if I'm feeling confident, I'm going to perform. If I'm not going to be on it on the day. So like, confidence is so important in every way of life. Even if you're working, if you're, you know, an athlete, anything. Yeah. Confidence is so big because being confident is going to help you progress. You know, it's going to give you that extra boost to do better and want to do better.
Yeah, and you ended that season well. Obviously, like we said, with all the numbers and the game time and the confidence and things. And then you went on to pre-season. How was like, because a lot of people think pre-season is just you go abroad, you know, a little holiday, you play a couple games, that's it. But how's it like from a player's perspective, the actual pre-season?
So, obviously, starting with the B team and then the under-18s was being built at Brentford. So that pre-season was big for me because obviously when I come back to Brentford, I wanted to prove myself that I was capable within being in the B team. So, you know, like, it was not sunshine and rainbow. Like, it was tough. Like, I was in the gym maybe twice a day, training once, or, you know, training twice, gym once, you know, pretty much every day up until pre-season started in the off-season. And obviously going into pre-season, fixtures with the B team, fixtures with the 18s, gelling with the team because obviously it was a new team.
Yeah.
You know, getting to know the boys, getting to know the coaches. So the new coach, her name was Lydia Bedford, so she was like the first like big woman name in football for like men's football. Yeah. And it was good. Like she was brilliant. You know, she really liked me. I got on with her. I got on with the assistant coach. Yeah, we had a really good season, and obviously pre-season was good, but like at the start of the season, because we were all new, it was difficult to gel with everyone. You know, to perform like at the same level with everyone because we were all new.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we had to work on to adapt to each other, and then you know it just progressed from there.
Get to know everyone, get to know their strengths and weaknesses as a coach as well. So they see, you know, they say, you know, dribbling, speed, this, that. You should be a winger, or this guy should be this and that. And then let's talk about also after there was a game against MK Dons, obviously. Let's talk about that game. You needed to win the league and everything, and then you stepped up. So how were the feelings before and during the game?
So talking about that game, so obviously that was towards the end of that under-18 season. Yeah. So funny enough, we spoke about this before. My decision was the day before, and obviously judging by the way I played within that season, I thought, you know, I'm getting it because, you know, with the stats you get and the confidence I had, you know, I had a good relationship with the coaching staff, the B team staff. So I thought, right, this is me, another contract. Sorted, yeah, deal was done. So before going into the meeting room, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna make my parents proud. I'm gonna get it. And obviously, as soon as you walk in the room, you get this like sense that it's negative. because it's quiet. You know, there's no smiles on the coaches' faces. You're like, oh, you know. So obviously the meeting happened, and they were like you've been brilliant this season. Like you're an outstanding player, but you just don't fit the plans for next season. And obviously, you know, as a player performing so well within that season, you're thinking, what more could you have done? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so like trying to take it in and to think like this has actually happened. What do I do next? And it was a shock. It was a big shock for me and my family, as you could probably imagine.
Of course, yeah.
But they were like, they told me the decision. I was like, okay, well, I'll take it. I'm going to have to just see what I can do. And they were like, we've got a game tomorrow against MK Dons to basically, if we win this by 4 goals, we win the league. And obviously, being told that news, you're thinking, how are you telling me to play this game?
What's the point? Yeah.
What's the point? There's no point being there anymore. But, you know, you just want to play for pride. You want to play for the boys. Because it's not the boys' fault. You know, they're not the decision makers. It's the coaches, do you know what I mean? So, I suck it up and I play. And then we were winning 3-1, I believe. But we had to score 1 to win. And then I think it was the 85th minute. Got the ball cutting on the left and shot across goal. Won the league, yeah. So it was good. And it kind of proved the point. It proved to the people that doubted me that, you know, you've made this decision, you're going to have to live by it, and I'm going to show you, like, what you missed out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And obviously before the game, I can imagine, you know, some people have that, not anger, but kind of like wanted to prove something. So what were you thinking, you know, the night before the game?
The night before the game, like, it was emotional because, you know, you're texting the boys, they're saying, oh, how did the decisions go? And you're having to tell them, oh, it wasn't good. And they're like, oh, like shocked. They're like, there's no way that this has happened, kind of thing. But it was mixed with emotion and excitement, you know. Like, I was excited to prove a point. Like, I was telling myself, like, you're going to show them, like, how good you are. Like, they saw how good I was, you know.
Yeah.
They already saw, but you're going to show them that.
Even more, yeah.
Even more. So, yeah, I was more excited, and I knew that I was going to play well because it was my last game and I wanted to prove a point. So it was exciting.
And you won them the league. You pretty much won them the league and showed them that, you know, you could have stayed longer. You could have won them more leagues and stuff and everything. And what happens after that? Because a lot of people, it must be, you know, tough on your mind, obviously, because all you know is football. You've played it, you know, your whole life. You love the game pretty much. You've been at Brentford. You've adapted and everything. So what happens after when you leave? What kind of things do you go for?
Obviously, your agent's going to try and sort out a plan for you to see if you can go anywhere. So I went to Wigan Athletic after that season on a trial. It was within pre-season, I mean off-season, so no pre-season, so it was very much fitness demanding again. We didn't actually end up playing a game, so everything was very much fitness, running. So I've gone there away from the house for, I think it was about a month.
Wow,
you know,
I
I performed well, but again, you know, nothing really come from it. They weren't really looking for a player in my position, which was fine. But then coming from there and then towards the end of pre-season, there was no really other options. And obviously, being at Brentford and doing as well as I did, you kind of build this ego thinking, why is no one coming in for me? Like, I played so well, I've got all these goals, I've done all this, I've done that, and nothing come. So I was a bit shocked, you know. But, you know, you take it on the chin and you just have to work hard. And then from there, that's when my non-league story started.
Yeah, let's talk about your non-league. Obviously, you took, you know, a big jump saying, you know, I think it's also kind of a humble thing. You realise that right now, put ego on the side and everything. I want to get experience. I want to get hands-on, if you like. So how did you go from kind of Brentford to non-league?
The jump was a bit crazy. Like, you know, being at Brentford, you have this expectation of how football is, but in reality, it's not like that in the real world kind of thing. Like, non-league's kind of like a symbol of what real football is about. So, obviously, I started at Southall, which was step 4, and obviously going there with this big, not ego, but this confidence, this arrogance to say, like, I played for Brentford, that this is who I am. And honestly, mate, they do not care about like where you played. All they care about is experience in men's football. And obviously I didn't have much experience in men's football. So me thinking to myself, I'm going to be playing week in, week out starting, it's not the case. It's not the case.
And what was different compared to, non-league and Brentford?
I think the way the game's played, obviously non-league is, a lot of it's just direct, 90% of the time the ball's in the air. So like being a technical player, watching the ball just move around like that, and you're like, is it going to come down at any point? It was challenging because I've never really experienced that before, and obviously not playing as frequently as I thought. Obviously the gaffer had trust in his players, and non-league is all about trust. Like if he trusts his experienced players, he's going to play them. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's just how it works. Yeah,
no, especially how with like everything, to be honest, in non-leagues to do with trust. Like we were talking earlier about contracts, this, that. It's all done over handshake compared to obviously the other business side of football. So how did you build that trust?
I think with Southall, it was just like when I came onto the pitch, just showing that how good I am, kind of thing. Like I said, the manager at Southall had big trust in his players. In all respects, he's a great manager. Like we got on very well, but I think because of the lack of game time, I had to change. I had to have a new kind of idea of what to do, because I can't just be sitting on the bench week in, week out, because my football's not forever. You got to make a name for yourself, and I didn't believe being there, it wasn't going to do anything for me. I was just going to come on here and there, play well, but then be on the bench again. So
you want something out of it,
Yeah, you need to be playing consistently, like every week.
Yeah, and speaking about obviously playing consistently, experience is something that matters a lot. Obviously, it's not about who you came from or where you came from. It's about how many hours you've got, pretty much. So you decided to move clubs for more game time. So how did that work? How did that conversation happen? So
obviously, the conversation was made. So the call was made to the manager to say, look, like I respect you. Like I've really enjoyed my time here, but I need a new challenge. Do you know what I mean? So obviously at the time they were like very adamant. They wanted me to stay because they had plans for me. They wanted me to commit to them. But I just felt like at the time it wasn't the best option for me. So obviously, I made the call and made the transfer to Rayners Lane, which was they're in the same league, but I was guaranteed more game time and frequent minutes to prove myself in non-league, to build a name for myself.
How was it like at that club? More game time, everything.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. So I'm still there now. Yeah. We've got one more game left, and obviously started in February. So I joined in February, and I think I played 11 games. So not bad. Scored 3 goals, got 4 assists. So it's proven that me leaving I've been able to showcase myself and to impact.
Yeah.
Because the more you play, the more confident you're gonna get. Like whereas before, I wasn't playing consistently. So one week I'll be playing really well, the next minute I'm on the bench. So for a player's confidence, and this is for every player, if they're not playing and they're on the bench, then they're not going to be confident, because confidence, like playing games, builds confidence.
Sure, some morale and stuff, because if you feel that you're valued, which you do feel now, you're starting every game, you know that they want you there instead of just chucking you on the bench and leaving you. And with your season now, obviously, you're starting all your games and stuff. Do you feel that you're getting back to your kind of confidence?
Self. Yeah. I think I'm already starting to feel the way I did at Brentford. Like my confident side of my game, and also a lot of it, like we mentioned before, trust. Like in non-league, trust is a big thing, especially with the manager. He trusts me. He wants to play me. He knows what I'm capable of, and they kind of build their way around me. Like they're always trying to find me. They're always relying on me to make things happen, which is good, and that's what I want. And because they feel that way about me, it's going to naturally breed confidence in myself to play well.
We're getting prime Remy back.
That's what I'm saying, prime Remy.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. And then, obviously, like you said, things, people are going to take notice and be like, he's back and everything. And
Yeah.
the good thing as well, you know, I'm sure you agree with me on this, is you've got, obviously, you've been at Brentford, right? You've learned all the tactical side and all that stuff, but you've gone back to non-league and you've gained experience. So you've kind of experienced both worlds. So do you think that's really important?
It is, because I feel like having these like bumps and like turns in your career, I think it's going to build you mentally. Whereas like if your journey's just been flat, like just academy pro, you're going to have this like idea of that's what football is. Where if it's like that, it's gonna build you more mentally and it's gonna drive you more. Whereas like obviously if my career was just perfect, you're not going to have this drive. Whereas I've experienced how good football is, and I've had these downfalls. It just drives me to do better.
Yeah, and I remember that we talk about it as well, kind of the pro club, you know, Brentford Academy, that's not the ceiling. The ceiling's, you know, step 6, steps, you know, the bottom step 6, step 7, then you work your way up.
Yeah.
And it feels better, doesn't it?
It does, like, you know, starting from the bottom and then, like, having a sense of success and then, you know, it going down again and then going back up and then staying there, that you're gonna feel more pride and you're gonna feel like you've really earned it. And that's what I'm at now, whereas like I've experienced how good football, I've experienced what professional life is like, and I've also experienced the semi-pro life as well. So I've got taste of both medicine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just the next step is to hopefully get a pro contract again.
Yeah, and that's the good thing as well. Forget about football as well, just in life in general. It's so much better if you start at the bottom, you know, whether it's you start at the bottom of the financial pyramid or, you know, you start from nothing and then you make a name for yourself. It feels better, and keeping it, that's the real hard bit. And speak about, you know, keeping it, and when you went down to those lowest levels, obviously it must have an impact on your, you know, your mental health, things like that. And was family there to support you? Obviously, you talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I think obviously my parents have always supported me through my footballing journey as well as off the pitch as well. I think because the way my family kind of work, we're like a small team. Like my parents support me on the pitch. Like my parents, my mum will like she'll feed me good food. My dad will train me. You know, they're a good network of people that help me. So obviously, having these highs and these lows in my career, like it affects them as well. So like, I feel like when I'm back to where I belong, the joy it's gonna bring to me will be double for them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good they support you as well, because wherever you go through, they go through. So
100%.
they must know what it feels like and stuff. And you said, we're going back to Brentford now. When you left Brentford, you said you took a little gap, kind of, obviously, you know, to think things through and stuff. What was that kind of window of no football looking like, just individual training?
I think the reason why that gap happened was more mentally rather than what I wanted. So I took a bit of a mental turn, like where, you know, you're kind of stuck, you don't know what to do. Like, are you going to carry on with football or are you going to go into work? Especially, it's even an age thing, like, especially being 19 years old. A lot of 19-year-olds or 18-year-olds will feel lost of what they want to do. So I've had this knock on, and, you know, I think because it was so much of a shock to me, it was like, what more can I really give in football? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know, like, is there any more to give? Like, I felt like I've given my all. I performed so well. Like, what more could I have done? But, so that lasted about maybe 3 months of just, like, not playing and just, you know, just enjoying life kind of and not taking it too seriously. But then obviously I realised like football is what I want to do. I need to pursue it and I need to start now because, you know, you're not young forever.
That's true, yeah. And what would you say, you know, gave you that click that, you know, you have to get Remy back?
I think my parents like motivated me to say like, you know how good you can be, just stick with it, even if you've got to like start from the bottom again and work you up again, because that's what ultimately I've done. Is like I've dropped my ego, I've gone back to non-league, and I'm going to build myself back up again and go back to where I know I belong.
Yeah, find your purpose, which is football.
Yeah,
so it always has been as well.
Always has been. Like, to be honest, like my friends say as well, because I'm not very smart, they always think, like academically, I was never good in school, so football is what I want to do, and I can't imagine anything else other than being a footballer. So that's my goal, and I'm gonna go all for it. Like people do talk about plan Bs, and like I said, it's important to have a plan B, but you know, you've got to really focus on that plan A because you only live once.
Exactly. Yeah. And your plan B, if it comes to that's gonna be your plan A. So it's gonna like shift up and
there shouldn't really be like plan Bs or plan A. It should be like a plan. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. The next plan A.
Figure something out.
You should always have something in the back of your mind to what else you could do, rather than thinking, it's just a backup option, because if that plan A doesn't work out, you're always going to be dwelling on that plan A when you're doing that plan B. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true.
So whatever you do in life, you just focus on that. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. You find a new option in life.
Exactly. That's the way it is as well. Because even like the successful people in anything, right, in football, in business, in this and that, they pretty much are crazy, right? They just go all in, right? Put in all their resources, like train, go gym, do this, do that, play games, do that. So that's what you're doing, you know, you're going all in because you know what you want, don't you? So you got to get it, right? Yeah,
like I said before, just go all in for it because, like I said, you live once. Football's not a long career. If you want to pursue it, you need to start young, you need to start early, and you need to really work hard for it, like sacrifice seeing friends, going out, partying, even working. Like, you know, sometimes I've had to sacrifice having jobs because if I'm going to go into full-time work, I'm going to miss out on my training and my personal development.
It's true, yeah.
Because in football, a lot of it is sacrifice the short term for the long term, because in the long term, my idea is to be a professional footballer. So for the short term, I've got to work up to be in that, and in doing so, I've got to sacrifice all the other stuff to do that.
Yeah, and that's the way it is for every winner. He has to sacrifice a lot of things.
Yeah.
And let's talk about, obviously, we talk about, you know, the highs and the lows. And before obviously filming, we were talking about social media, and as a footballer, not just a footballer, as a person in general, you see all these people, you know, posting their highs and stuff, when in reality, you know, everyone struggles. You know, you've got your struggles, I've got mine, you have yours, everything. So what's your opinion on...
Talking about social media, I think, especially being a young person, like, especially nowadays, you have this, like, expectation of having to be successful at a young age because you see all these social media people posting all their successes, whereas, like, I know and you know that social media, what people post isn't exactly their reality of life. It's just the good parts, like the good snippets of their life.
Yeah.
Like, I do it, you know, I post my good stuff, my good clips, but I don't post the negatives of my life because, you know, you don't want to talk about that. You want people to know that you're doing well, which in all cases is not always the case. But, you know, it does help. It does drive me as well. Like, you see, like, especially footballers, you know, on social media, you know, making their debuts, you know, performing well. It does drive me, but then it's like it's a positive jealousy. Like, you know, and I know that I can be there if I do that work, and I'm in that, like, when I'm in that situation, I know I could do the same thing. But you know, social media is positive and negative. Like, it can drive you to be successful, but then also it can affect you negatively as well.
It's a double-edged sword. So
100%. Yeah.
Let's talk about also, I know you said you don't really have a plan B, but you're looking at work and stuff, but your main focus has always been football. And you also started a coaching business, a one-to-one.
So I started it kind of whilst I was taking that break from football, like just starting on league, not really knowing what else I could do. So I started the one-to-one company just to kind of like keep myself within that footballing environment, you know. Industry. I didn't really want to go into, like I said, full-time work. I wanted to stay on the pitch, improve myself. And I kind of built a love into improving other people. So, like, helping young players improve as well, and to kind of get an idea from me, and I can give them, like, help of the way I play, and I can give it to them so they can benefit their playing styles as well. So so I started that in September last year. Just quite small, just a few kids, but then, it kind of scrolled up a bit, and I started getting like a few more boys into the sessions, and it just got a bit bigger from there. But because I've become a lot more busier playing football, I've kind of like stopped it a little bit, put it to the side and focus on myself, because what you've got to do.
Your main objective is football.
Yeah.
That was just a temporary thing. So.
Exactly, yeah.
And did you enjoy it at all, or was it just like, you got to do it, so you got to do it?
I think at the time I enjoyed coaching because like it was something different, but obviously it's not a career path I want to be in. I don't want to be a coach, I want to be a player. And I feel like coaching the sessions, I kind of wished I was in their boots. They were improving where I was given the information, where I wished that was me.
Do you want to be mentored?
I wanted to be the one that was being coached. I wanted to be training.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really see myself continuing it because, everyone wants to be a footballer. People want to be coached, but that's kind of like later on in life.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, I want to be a footballer.
Sure, and you have that hunger to wanting to learn from the pros, from the people up there, right? Instead of just giving out stuff. So, yeah. And now let's move on to the Q&A.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. All good.
Couple questions sent in. The good, the bad, the ugly. We're gonna go through them. So the first one is, what's the best piece of advice you've received?
So I've received.
Yeah, you.
I think. Obviously, the big one everyone knows, like hard work beats talent, and talent doesn't work hard. I think that's everyone knows that one. I think that plays a big part in my life, because if I haven't been with it mentally, I think working hard is, you're gonna get through it, and you're gonna like be where you belong. I think with that working hard part, off the pitch and on the pitch, it's been able to develop me on the pitch as well. And also play with no fear. I don't know if that's a bit of a quote, but like I stand by that, because if you play in the back of your mind with no fear, you're gonna perform way better than when you have fear.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, play freely and then express yourself, kind of. And the second question is, which player do you base your game on?
Who do you think?
I don't know.
Judging by clips, who do you think?
Probably, I don't say it. Saka, probably.
Saka, yeah.
Left back, right wing.
Yeah, I think probably Saka as well. Left-footed right winger. I watch him. Even though I'm a Spurs fan, I don't enjoy watching Arsenal, but I enjoy watching him. So yeah, I think basing my game around Saka. Used to be Gareth Bale. Being a Spurs fan, like a quick winger. But yeah, I'd say Saka, 100%.
He started out left back Bale, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, left back Bale. Then moved to the wing, bit like me.
Yeah, no, that's good. Same playing style as well, cutting in, crossing, scoring sometimes as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, ball knowledge there.
Ball knowledge there, man.
Yeah. And the third question is, what's the toughest challenge you faced at Brentford?
Obviously, not getting another contract. Obviously trying to adapt to that, like, what do I do next kind of factor. Like, obviously, like I said, it wasn't expected in my behalf. But also, I'd say adapting from Grassroots to Brentford, that was like one of my other bigger challenges, because, it was like a career, like not a career, but it's like a window you've never really opened before. Like, you're in a new environment, you don't really know what's going to happen or like what it's going to be like. You turn up and you play, kind of thing, and that's what happened. And adapting to it was tough, but you learn things being a young player, and you adapt and you prove yourself, and then you showcase yourself and show how good you can be.
Yeah, you got there in the end, so that's what matters, doesn't it? It's the end of the journey.
Yeah.
And the fourth question is, who inspired you to commit to football?
Who inspired me? I'd say, well, mainly my dad. My dad played a big part. He really gave me the confidence, supporting me, making myself believe. But I'd also say, I used to watch Paul Gascoigne a lot as a kid. Even though he's not in my era, but like watching clips of him, I'd say he kind of gave me that enjoyment of football. So I'd watch him, and then I'd go and copy what he does. So even though he didn't tell me to inspire myself, but watching him inspired me.
What did you like about him? Was it style of play or?
I think the confidence and the arrogance he had, and obviously the style of play. Like, I like to dribble like him. I like to play like him, and I like the way he perceived himself as well, being a footballer. And I like to kind of carry myself like he did. You know, that kind of funny, like chatty kind of, like a character on the pitch and off the pitch. That's what I liked about him, and that's what I try to copy, in a way.
Yeah, that's good. And this question probably sent in by one of your coaching clients, but what drills do you do to improve?
From a young age, I think just drilling like reps, so like, you know, practicing your weak foot constantly, shooting with your left foot or right foot, practicing stuff you're not good at. I'd say now, as you get older, it's not necessarily about like dribbling in and out of cones. That's great technically, but to help your game IQ, you've got to be able to do like game realistic stuff. So like position specific stuff, like if you're a winger, practicing the crossing, practicing cutting inside, receiving the ball. If you're a centre back, clearing the ball, practicing your distribution, your defending. 1v1s for me, like every day, like especially in summer, even like in the weeks, I'd go to the cage with my friend or the AstroTurf, and we'd just do 1v1s, like reps, because that breeds confidence. The more you do something, the better you'll get. That's what
true,
it's true, yeah.
Yeah, and that's with anything in life in general as well. I've given the example before, but for example, if you got two people, right, they both same physique, they want to go gym, they want to get bigger.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to get bigger? The guy who goes to the gym 6 times a week, 5 times a week, doesn't know what he's doing, he's just lifting weights, or the guy that studies, reps this, sets this, just goes 3 times a week? Who do you think's going to get bigger?
Yeah.
The guy who goes more, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's with life as well. The more experience you have, the better you get.
Yeah.
And another question is, what's the biggest game you've experienced or played in?
The biggest game, I'd say maybe FA Youth Cup was quite big for me. Obviously playing against Spurs, I really wanted to perform. It was a crazy game. We were losing 2-0. Got a really good assist to make it 2-1. And then 5 minutes later got sent off. But I think it was, you know, it was the passion. I was really passionate about that game. I really wanted to perform. But you know, the ref killed the game, man. Like we had like momentum to come back, killed it, and yeah, like I was devastated. But I think the build up to that game was very important to me. And I'd say, you know, certain non-league games as well, you know, playing in front of big crowds, a couple thousand, to perform in that, it was big on me. But like, I've learnt to play under pressure, and I enjoy playing under pressure now. So yeah.
Yeah. And the final question is, what does a day in the life look like for Remy?
A day in our life, what now?
Yeah.
I'd say get up, have breakfast, probably some sort of physical activity, so maybe a run or some speed work, hill reps. I'm big on hill reps at the minute because obviously it builds leg muscle, power, stuff like that. And then studying, I'm doing a course, so personal training course, doing that just like on the side. And then training, you know, just trying to stay sharp, man, and just trying to better myself every day to show it in the games. And then, yeah, just spending time with family and, yeah, nothing more really.
It's good. And it's good you're spending time with family as well. How much, you said it earlier as well already, but how important are they for you? Because they're always with you, aren't they? So
yeah, I think a big reason why I'm doing this is for them, because the support they've given me and what they've sacrificed, you know, driving me around the country, supporting me. I think if I can give it back to them, like what they deserve, then I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do everything I can to do that.
Yeah, no, that's true. And one more thing, what's your biggest advice to the viewers watching? Everything, because you've been through a lot, the ups, the downs, everything. What's one thing you've taken out of your journey that you want to give to the viewers?
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Just do what you want to do. Be confident. Believe in yourself. And if you're a footballer, play with no fear. That's it.
That's it. Right.
That's it, man.
Cool. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you.
No worries,
Appreciate
bro.
you coming down. Nice hearing your journey.
Thanks, man.
And thank you guys for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Hope you learn something, learn a thing or two out of Remy's journey, because it's a big one. All right, going from, you know, highs to the lows, working way up again. Something we should all take something from. So thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Alhamdulillah. Always. فينا ورواش الحمد لله.
Alhamdulillah.